It was a crisp, quiet afternoon when Emily stepped into the bustling university reunion hall. The chatter of old classmates filled the space, the air heavy with nostalgia, laughter, and the faint scent of coffee. She felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. After all, it wasn't every day that she found herself back in her husband's old university circle, surrounded by faces she only knew through stories he told. Emily smoothed her dress nervously, trying to look composed. Her husband, Daniel, was mingling across the room, laughing heartily with his old friends. She had always admired the way he could make everyone feel at ease, yet today she felt like an outsider, peeking into a world she barely belonged to. As she wandered near the refreshment table, a man approached her with a hesitant smile. He seemed familiar, though Emily couldn't immediately place him. "Excuse me," he said, holding a folded piece of paper in his hand. "Are you Emily, Daniel's wife?" She nodded, puzzled, as he extended the note toward her. "He wanted me to give this to you," the man said softly, almost nervously. Emily took it, her fingers brushing his briefly, and felt an unexpected jolt of curiosity, and something else she couldn't name. Emily unfolded the paper. The handwriting was unmistakable, elegant, almost familiar in a way that made her heart skip. Her eyes widened as she read the words. The note was from someone who had known Daniel long before she did, someone who seemed to hold secrets about him she had never imagined. "Emily," the man said again, a note of urgency in his voice, "I think you should read it carefully." She nodded, barely noticing him walking away, blending back into the crowd. The hall suddenly felt too loud, too bright. She needed a quiet corner. She found a small, empty lounge near the back. Sitting down, she smoothed the note across her lap and read again. "There's something you don't know about Daniel, and it could change everything." Emily's mind raced. Could this be some kind of joke? A misunderstanding? But the weight in the words felt real, heavier than anything she had encountered in her calm, predictable life. She had always trusted Daniel completely. How could there be something he hadn't told her? Her thoughts swirled with doubt and fear. She tried to remember every moment, every conversation she and Daniel had shared, searching for a clue, a hint. But nothing stood out. It was as if this note had opened a door to a world she had never entered. For the first time in years, Emily felt a pang of uncertainty about the man she had married. Not about her love for him, but about the parts of him that had remained hidden. The idea of secrets gnawed at her, turning what should have been a happy reunion into a puzzle she couldn't solve. As she sat there, heart hammering, she realized the note had done more than shock her. It had awakened a sense of urgency, a need to uncover the truth before it became too late. And yet, she couldn't bring herself to confront Daniel immediately. Something about the timing, the words, the way the man had handed it to her, it all whispered that she needed to approach this carefully. She tucked the note into her purse, glancing back at the hall where Daniel was still laughing, seemingly unaware of the storm brewing in Emily's mind. If you're enjoying this story so far, please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. Emily took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, but her curiosity was relentless. What could Daniel's classmate possibly know that she didn't? And why now, after all these years? Her pulse quickened as she rose from the lounge, note in hand, determined to find answers. But just as she turned a corner, she saw someone she never expected, someone from Daniel's past, whose eyes widened in shock at the sight of her. It was in that moment that Emily realized her life was about to shift in ways she could never have imagined. Emily froze for a moment, her heart skipping a beat. The familiar face staring at her was Michael, Daniel's classmate from university, the same man whose name Daniel had often mentioned in passing, always with a laugh. But there was something different in Michael's expression now, something serious, almost anxious. Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke. "Why are you telling me this now, after all these years?" Michael looked away, his jaw tightening. "Because I tried before. Years ago, I wanted to tell him directly, but it wasn't my place. Now you're his wife. You have a right to know, and I can't stay silent anymore." Emily's hand shook. She had imagined many moments in her life, but never this. a sudden window into a past she didn't even know existed. She wanted to turn back, to ignore it, but the weight of the note in her purse reminded her she couldn't. "Can you at least tell me what kind of choices?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Michael hesitated, then said softly, "Daniel was involved in something. That hurt someone close to him. He didn't mean to, and he's tried to make amends, but it left a mark. And now it's resurfacing. That's why I gave you the note." Emily's mind blurred. Hurt someone? What could it be? She felt a strange mix of anger, confusion, and a deep, gnawing worry. She had married Daniel believing she knew him completely. Now, every memory felt fragile, every shared moment uncertain. She took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. "I need to understand everything," she said. "I can't just ignore this." Michael nodded solemnly. "I'll tell you everything, but you need to promise me. You have to be careful how you approach him. Daniel, he doesn't handle surprises well. And this will shake him deeply if he senses you already know." Emily's chest tightened. She had never felt more torn. Her love for Daniel was unwavering, yet the sudden revelation of a hidden past cast a shadow over her heart. As they stood there in the courtyard, the university reunion carrying on inside behind them, Emily realized that her life had just taken a turn she could never have predicted. The safe, predictable world she had known was gone, replaced by questions that demanded answers, and answers that might not be easy to hear. And just as she was about to speak, Michael reached into his jacket and pulled out a small, worn envelope. This is what Daniel didn't tell anyone about. You need to see it for yourself," he said, handing it to her. Emily's hands trembled as she accepted the envelope. She felt a mix of fear and determination. Whatever was inside could change everything, but she had to know the truth. She opened the envelope slowly, her heart pounding, and froze at what she saw. The words inside were familiar, yet shocking. They revealed a secret Daniel had carried for years, a secret that threatened not only his past, but the life they had built together. The courtyard seemed to shrink around her, the sunlight too bright, the sounds of laughter inside too distant. Emily realized in that moment that she was standing at the edge of a revelation that would test her heart, her trust, and the very foundation of her marriage. And then, just as she thought she could process it, a voice called her name from the hall, the unmistakable, warm voice of Daniel himself, approaching faster than she expected. Emily's chest tightened. She had to face him, but how could she, with a secret now in her hands? Daniel's footsteps grew louder as he approached the courtyard, his familiar smile lighting up his face. He didn't notice the tension in Emily's posture or the envelope clutched tightly in her hands. "Emily, there you are," he called, his voice cheerful. "I've been looking for you. Want to grab a drink?" Emily's throat tightened. She forced a smile, her mind racing. "Actually, Daniel, we need to talk. Now," she said, her voice trembling slightly, though her eyes were firm. Daniel's expression shifted from amusement to concern. "Okay, sure. What's wrong?" He followed her to a quieter corner, the laughter and music from the reunion fading behind them. She took a deep breath, staring at him, her hands holding the envelope like a lifeline. "Daniel, I got this today," she began, opening the envelope slowly. "It's from your past, from someone who knows things I didn't." Daniel's brow furrowed, and a flicker of unease crossed his face. "Emily, what do you mean?" "I think it's time I knew everything, Daniel," she said softly, but with a firmness that left no room for avoidance. "I don't want secrets between us. Not now, not ever." Daniel ran a hand through his hair, looking away for a moment, as if gathering his thoughts. Then he looked back at her, his eyes steady but serious. "Emily, you've always trusted me, and I want you to. There are things from my past, things I regret, things I tried to fix, but they're complicated." Emily held her breath, waiting. The words in the envelope seemed to burn through her hands, yet she couldn't look away. "Please, Daniel, tell me. I need to understand. Daniel sighed deeply, his shoulders sagging slightly. Back in university, I made a mistake, a serious one. I hurt someone I cared about, though I didn't realize it at the time. I thought I could make it right later, but I never fully explained it to anyone. Not to my friends, not to you. I wanted to protect everyone from the truth. Emily's heart ached, but she remained silent, letting him continue. I was young and selfish, Daniel said quietly. I didn't think about the consequences, and I tried to handle it on my own. But I know now that wasn't enough. The person I hurt, they're still affected by it. And I'm scared that bringing it up now, after all these years, might reopen old wounds. That's why Michael gave you the note. He wanted to make sure someone you trust knew before anything resurfaced unexpectedly. Emily's mind swirled. She had always believed in forgiveness and second chances, but hearing Daniel speak so openly about his past made her heart ache with both sympathy and fear. She reached for his hand, feeling the familiar warmth she had always relied on. I don't know what to say, she admitted, her voice soft. I love you, Daniel. That hasn't changed. But hearing this, it's a lot. I need to understand it fully. Daniel nodded, relief and sorrow mingling in his eyes. I'll tell you everything, he said. But I need you to promise me something first. Promise me you'll hear truth without judgment. I need you to trust that I'm still the man you married. Emily looked into his eyes, searching for any sign of deceit, and found none. Her love for him remained, steady and deep, even as the past threatened to shake their foundation. I promise, she whispered. Daniel took a deep breath, then began recounting the story, the events that had led to the misunderstanding, the mistakes he had made, and the ways he had tried to make amends. Emily listened intently, absorbing every word, every confession, every hint of regret. As he spoke, Emily realized something profound. The man she loved was not perfect, but he had grown, learned, and faced his mistakes. The past was a shadow, but it didn't define him. By the time Daniel finished, the sun had dipped lower, casting golden light across the courtyard. Emily's heart ached with empathy, but also swelled with understanding. She reached out, taking his hand in hers. Daniel, thank you for telling me. I know it wasn't easy. Daniel smiled faintly, relief washing over his face. It wasn't.
But I needed you to know. And now, maybe we can move forward, together, without secrets between us. Emily nodded, feeling a mix of peace and lingering questions. She still had thoughts swirling in her mind about Michael, the note, and the past. But she knew that for now, the bridge between them had been rebuilt. And just as she was about to step closer to embrace him, a sudden sound echoed from behind, a familiar voice calling Michael's name urgently. Emily turned, and her heart skipped again. Something about the way the voice carried sent a chill through her. The revelation wasn't over yet. Emily's heart skipped a beat as she turned toward the source of the voice. Michael was speaking hurriedly to someone she hadn't expected to see, Lena, Daniel's former classmate, who had been mentioned only in passing during Daniel's stories. Lena's face was pale, her eyes wide with urgency. Michael, you need to see this now, Lena said, thrusting a small folder into his hands. It's about Daniel. It's time Emily knows the rest. Emily's stomach tightened. She hadn't expected more revelations, not after Daniel's heartfelt confession. Yet here was another layer of the past pushing itself forward, insisting on being heard. She felt a swirl of anxiety, excitement, and a strange sort of anticipation. Michael glanced at Emily briefly, then back at Lena. This might change what she's just learned, he said, his voice low. But I think she deserves to see it. Don't you agree? Emily nodded, gripping Daniel's hand for reassurance. I do, she whispered. I need to know everything. Daniel's face tightened, a flicker of concern crossing his features. Emily, are you sure? He asked gently. There's more to my past than I've told you, and some of it's not easy to hear. I need to hear it, Daniel, Emily replied, her voice firm. I love you, and I want to understand all of you, the past and the present. Michael handed the folder to Emily.
It was thick with papers, letters, and notes carefully preserved over the years. As she opened it, her eyes fell on the first page, a letter written in Daniel's handwriting, addressed to someone she didn't recognize immediately. Her heart thumped as she read, "I hope one day you can forgive me. I know I hurt you, and I can't undo it. But I promise I've tried to learn, to grow, to become a better person." Emily looked up, tears prickling her eyes. "Daniel, you wrote this?" He nodded, swallowing hard. "Yes, I wrote it years ago, after I realized the full weight of my mistakes. I never sent it. I didn't know if it was the right time, but I kept it, hoping someday the truth would come out." The next page revealed a series of notes, apologies from Daniel to several classmates he had unintentionally hurt, each one filled with remorse, reflection, and hope for reconciliation. Emily's heart ached as she read through them. The man she loved had carried these burdens silently for years, always trying to do better. Then she found a page that made her pause. It was not in Daniel's handwriting. It was a note from Lena, explaining her role in a misunderstanding that had haunted Daniel for years. "I held on to this too long," it read. "I wanted to protect him, but perhaps it's time Emily knows the truth." Emily looked up at Daniel, her eyes searching his. "All this? You kept it all inside?" she asked softly. Daniel nodded. "I didn't want the past to shadow our life. I thought I could handle it alone, but maybe I should have trusted you sooner." Emily felt a mix of emotions, sorrow for the pain Daniel had endured, admiration for his honesty now, and a deep love that seemed to grow stronger despite the shadows of the past. Just as she was absorbing everything, Michael cleared his throat. "There's one more thing," he said, his voice careful. "Something from the time after university, something that might explain why Daniel's past resurfaced now." Emily's heart skipped. She looked at Daniel, whose expression had darkened slightly. "What is it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Michael hesitated, then said, "It's a letter he never received. Someone tried to contact him about the past, someone who was hurt deeply, and now, after all these years, they've reached out again. That's why I gave you the note today. You needed to know before it reached him." Daniel's jaw tightened. "So it's starting again? After all these years?" he murmured, almost to himself. Emily felt a shiver run through her. The past had frowned them once more, threatening to intrude into the life they had carefully built. But this time, she knew she wouldn't step back. She would face it, with him. And just as Emily folded the folder carefully, a soft ping from her phone caught her attention. It was a message from an unknown number. "We need to meet. Daniel's past is not done yet." Emily stared at the message on her phone, her heart pounding in her chest. The unknown number sent chills down her spine, but she knew she couldn't ignore it. Daniel was beside her, his hand brushing hers, sensing her tension. "What is it?" he asked gently, his eyes full of concern. Emily took a deep breath. "It's someone from your past. They want to meet. They say your past isn't over yet." Daniel's face darkened, but he nodded. "Then we face it, together." The decision was made quickly. They would meet this mysterious person, not as strangers, not as adversaries, but as partners. Emily's heart felt heavy with anticipation and fear, yet there was a strange comfort in knowing they would face it side by side. The next day, they arrived at a quiet cafe, tucked away on a small street where the afternoon sunlight streamed gently through the windows. The place was almost empty, a peaceful contrast to the storm of emotion swirling in Emily's chest. At a corner table, a woman sat waiting. Her eyes lifted as Daniel approached, and Emily felt the weight of history in that silent glance. She didn't know her, but somehow she sensed the depth of what had passed between them. "Emily," Daniel whispered, giving her a hand a reassuring squeeze. "Stay calm. Let me handle this part." Emily nodded, trusting him, though her curiosity was barely contained. The woman spoke first. "Daniel, thank you for meeting me. And you must be Emily. I've heard so much about you." Her tone was gentle yet firm. Emily smiled politely. "It's nice to meet you. I'm here to understand." The woman nodded. "I wanted to come today to clear the air. Years ago, there was a misunderstanding, and it left things unfinished. Daniel tried to make amends, but I never really believed he could change. Today, I see that he has. I see that he's sincere." Daniel's shoulders relaxed slightly. I've carried regret for years. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I only wanted to grow, to become a better person. Emily watched him, her heart swelling with love. Seeing Daniel face this moment, this bridge between past and present, made her realize the strength of his character, the depth of his heart. The woman smiled at Emily. I trust you now. I see that he's worthy of the life he's built, and I don't want to interfere anymore. The past can finally rest. A sense of relief washed over Emily. The tension that had shadowed the reunion, the note, and the hidden truths began to lift. She felt the weight of uncertainty ease, replaced with clarity and hope. Daniel reached for Emily's hand, intertwining their fingers. "Thank you for standing by me," he whispered. Emily leaned closer. "I always will. Secrets and past mistakes don't change who you are now, or who we are together." The three of them shared a quiet moment, the kind that marks the end of a long storm. Emily realized how fragile life could be, how easily the past could sneak back, yet also how powerful love and honesty could be in healing it. As they left the cafe together, Emily felt a deep sense of peace. The note, Michael's intervention, and the letters, all of it had led to this moment. She and Daniel were stronger now, not because the past had disappeared, but because they had faced it together. Walking down the street, Daniel glanced at Emily, a small smile playing on his lips. "Are you okay?" Emily smiled back, her heart full. "More than okay. We've faced it all, and we're still standing, together." As the sunlight bathed them in a golden glow, Emily realized that sometimes the sudden shocks life throws at you aren't meant to break you. They're meant to remind you of what truly matters: trust, love, and courage. And in that moment, she felt grateful for the note, the revelations, and the journey that had brought them closer than ever. Their hands remained clasped as they walked, side by side, ready to step into a future where the past no longer held power over them, but where every lesson it taught would remain a part of their story, shared and unbroken. And in the quiet warmth of the afternoon, Emily understood one undeniable truth. Love, honesty, and trust could weather any storm, no matter how sudden the shock.